Sometimes I can get bogged down under the self-imposed pressure to make great photographs every time I go out, especially since I started this YouTube channel, which is obviously totally unrealistic. While it's a lot of fun, the reality is street photography is really hard to do well. So in this video I'm going to give an honest account of a normal day of street photography, what I like about the photos and what I don't like. Also for each photo I'm going to give it an honest ranking between 1 and 10, so it'd be really interesting to know if you agree with me or not. Right, let's get into it. I always like to start off by getting a couple of shots as quickly as possible to get into the flow and start feeling confident. I noticed this jeweller's setting up for the day and took a couple of quick snaps. I prefer the first photo, but there isn't much exciting about them to be honest, so I've given them a low score out of 10. They are just warm-up shots though. Next I follow the light, which was really gorgeous. I noticed a couple of tourists taking photos in front of this wonderful building. The scene was all a bit orange though, so I decided to put these ones into black and white. I like that it's not just a photo of someone doing nothing. I'm always looking for some kind of action or emotion, and here they were jumping and posing, which was a bit eye-catching, but not really emotive, so a couple of okay shots. I definitely prefer the composition and moment of the second image. I sometimes feel almost a bit panicked when the light's nice and I know it's not going to last too long, so I can end up rushing shots a little bit. I saw this family coming with the two kids skipping, which was a sweet moment, but I rushed the shot with no thought for composition, which really shows. I scanned ahead though and spent some more time trying to get a good composition with the golden front light coming through. The first shot isn't quite right, but I think the second is really sweet. A nice little moment and gorgeous light, but it is just a photo of people from behind, so it's not really that spectacular. When looking for candid moments in characters, sometimes you just need to react and the composition becomes instinctive rather than planned out. I think this one worked out quite well. I like the leading lines of the railings and the composition looking up emphasises the characters. I reacted and shot it from the hip though, so the composition could probably have been a bit better. I'm struggling a bit to get into the flow here, so I'm just photographing things that caught my attention by this fountain, but I'm not really getting anything noteworthy. I actually almost didn't make this video because I only got 1 or 2 shots that I liked from a full day of shooting, and I figured who really wants to see the other images? But I decided to make it anyway. I thought it might be helpful for you to see the majority of images on a normal photo walk, or average at best, but it's the practice and the process that matters to eventually capture the photos you want to keep in the future. I noticed the scene, but I wasn't really feeling that confident yet. I think there was a much better shot to be had here, and in the end I feel I just settled a bit for this one. I could have been a lot more bold and made a more impactful photo by getting closer. Still, it's not a terrible shot though. This scene really moved me. I'm not quite sure why, perhaps how she was holding her hands and sitting alone. I like the colours and composition of this image and the fact she's looking into the camera, so I'm really glad I had the confidence to take it. Here I'm just going for a simple shot, framing someone up to use the columns of the building, but nothing really emotive or special about the images. About 6 months ago I picked up a 35mm full frame equivalent lens because I really wanted to change the kind of street photography I was taking, from a more abstract fine art street photography style to a more close-up, moment-driven documentary style of street photography. This for me is a very challenging approach, but I found it to be the most fun, so even when I don't get a load of images I'm happy with, this approach still gives me the most enjoyment. I missed this scene on the GoPro and only saw it from far away. I liked the gesture and the expression of the kid as well as the background, but I think if I'd been a bit closer it would have been a better photo. You can only photograph what's in front of you when you're on the street though, that's just the way it goes. When I'm not really seeing any moments or action, I also keep an eye out for characters or people wearing eye-catching clothing. This lady's coat caught my eye and I was going for a mysterious character shot. She's on her phone though, so that immediately makes it a bit boring for me. It's definitely quite a challenge ranking these images. I'm probably being pretty hard on myself, but I'm really enjoying the process of ranking them out of 10. It's making me consider how good or how bad the photograph really is, and from that it's giving me some good ideas for what to improve going forward. So I definitely recommend you trying out this exercise if you haven't before as well. So in this scene, it's the guy's haircut that caught my eye, but it's just a photo of someone from behind with an odd haircut. Is it really that compelling? Probably not particularly. Worth taking the photo though. Sometimes initially I think a photo is good and then I edit it or look at it for ages and become so familiar with my work that I sort of no longer like it anymore or think that it's very good at all. I think that's common though. We forget that when we're sharing our pictures, everyone else hasn't seen them before. They weren't there as well, so they have fresh eyes when they look at the images. Ultimately, the viewer can decide to like the pictures or not, that's up to them. I think we just need to remember to step away from our photos sometimes so that we can see them with fresh eyes after some time away to really help us assess them accurately. Now here is where I noticed some amazing light breaking through the clouds and the buildings, making a great shape on the ground. It can be easy when you see a scene like this just to settle and get a kind of average boring shot of someone walking through the light and just leave it at that, like the first two images here. But I always like to try and see if there's any way I can get the right subject for the scene or try different angles to get a more compelling image, really working the scene. I'm actually really happy with this third image. I didn't like it right away, but after some time looking at it and editing it, now I really enjoy it. I love how the light is lined up exactly with the post. It's strange and pleasing at the same time and really elevates the image, so yeah, I'm happy with this one. This balloon seller caught my eye. I liked her colourful vintage t-shirt and the shapes the balloons made in contrast to the light and the street. Again, all the photos are from behind, so they're not really that exciting, but it might be nice as part of a collection of images, which is something I'm always thinking about when I'm out documenting the streets. How images might not work great on their own, but might look good in a project or a book or something like that in the future. Here's a few shots I missed on the GoPro. If you're finding this video useful, let me know in the comments. I'd genuinely like to know what you think of the photos, if you think my ratings are fair. Feedback can really help improve our photography. If you're an internet troll though, no thanks, leave your comment under a bridge. I took heaps of photos in this scene too. Usually I'm quite economical with how many photos I take on a photo walk, but today I was just firing them off. Maybe because I thought I wasn't really getting anything and was desperate to try and get a good photo. I do like this one a lot. I waited for the right moment, I like the composition and the content of the photo, so this one really works for me. See, I'm not being super harsh on all of the images in this video. This one was a spur of the moment hip shot. I saw the ferret poking its nose out of the bag and just reacted. It's a shame I cut off her face, I think, but I like the light and you don't often see people with ferrets on the street, so it has something unusual about it that I like. I couldn't make colour work in the next couple of images too, which, like I said, I think put me off by making me think all the photos from the day were crap. But then when I put them into black and white, I found them to be a lot stronger. I wonder if you've ever found that to be the case in your own work. I want to really like this photo. It's a fun moment, but I just don't. I think it would have been better closer in with the flash on. It can be really quite annoying to me when I can't put my finger on why I don't like a photo or why a photo isn't good, but sometimes that's just the nature of street photography and the nature of our tastes as well. These could probably be my favourite shots of the day. Every time I come to Birmingham, I photograph around the ball sculpture in the Bullring shopping centre, but I've never seen kids climbing all over it quite like this before, and I think the shots are quite good. Again, better in black and white. I definitely prefer the first image, probably because of the moment and the composition. Usually I get told off by security for photographing on private land, but they must have all been on a coffee break, so I really worked the scene and got in a bit closer. I definitely think the second photo is really strong, a fun little moment with a decent composition. I had tried getting a few shots of this punching bag earlier with no success, but I quite like these two. A fun little moment of a kid trying his best to hit a bag despite his lack of height. I can't really tell which one I like best, or if I prefer black and white or colour on these images though. The light was mega again. I noticed this lovely pool of golden light, so I wanted to see how people looked walking through it to see if I could work a composition, taking a bit of a slower approach. The first two shots are absolute trash, but the third shot, this guy walked right into the light and stared up at the sun and made this sort of grimacing face. In the moment I thought there was something quite biblical about it, and I liked that he's standing on the head of my shadow as well, but ultimately again I don't think the photo really works. I'm not sure why. It's not one of my favourites from the day, even though at the time I thought it would be. Trying to take advantage of the light, I noticed this couple and I was hoping they'd kiss so I could capture a nice romantic moment. They did end up kissing, but I was a little bit too far away. It's a cute moment with the amazing architecture in the background, but there isn't anything really special about the image. I do like this photo a lot. It's a cute moment, and I especially like how the light caught the slinky, adding nice contrast and story. For me it works best in black and white, as I just couldn't get the photo to look right in colour. And it's amazing how the edit of images can affect if we resonate with them or not. The light just kept on giving, which was really nice, but again I got a bit annoyed and frustrated that I couldn't find much that worked with the amazing light. I saw this guy smoking a cigar and used the light and shadow to frame him up. It's okay, nice light, but nothing particularly special. There was a fun moment here of these two women having a laugh with this cake box that they dropped on the ground. I had a bit of time, so tried to work in some passers-by to make the photos a bit more interesting. The photos are alright, but they don't really stand out to me that much. I'm sure there was a better photo to be had in this location, but I just couldn't see it on the day. I think it's a bit of a theme of the day, but I really did struggle to make photos to show off how beautiful this light was. But that's just the way it goes sometimes. It might be an amazing, beautiful location, but there's no guarantee that you can make a great photograph from it. I explored a couple of different compositions, trying to use the light as leading lines and pops of interest. Nothing emotional or motive here though, so they're pretty average shots of the environment. Nothing wrong with that though, and it's always good to try different compositional ideas, even if they don't quite work. Another moment here of a couple kissing. I liked the environment and colours with the leading lines of the wall and the line of red and white stripes. Again though, it would have been a bit better if I got a bit closer, so it's just a kind of average shot for me. The light now was absolutely epic, so I fired off a couple of shots even though there wasn't much interesting going on. As I said earlier, I'm very critical of my own work, but I'm really glad I've analysed these images properly, because actually in the end I got a bunch of images that were better than what I thought the first time I looked at them. I wonder if you're quite as critical of your own work as well. It can definitely be a good thing as it helps us improve. Just don't forget to celebrate the wins too, and don't be too harsh on yourself when things don't go well. I think putting myself out here on YouTube has made me become a little bit overly critical of my work perhaps, but that's also just my personality. I'm always looking to try and get better. As always, thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, check out another video if you want to. I'll see you in the next one.